Support.
The maestro, please.
End of April, and as I said in yesterday's record rundown, today it's time for a pop analysis. This time we'll be looking at As It Was by Harry Styles.
Harry Styles.
Harry Styles is a British songwriter, songwriter, and actor. Originally began his music career as part of One Direction, but ever since their indefinite hiatus started in 2016, the man has gotten a couple of big hits under his solo career, such as
Just Stop Your Crying, it's a sign of the times.
or more recently,
Watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar.
Background.
As It Was originally released on April 1st, April Fool's Day of this year. It charted 2 weeks after debuting at number 1. It would then fall to number 2 the following week, but the very next week, and as of the end of April, it got back to number 1. As It Was is the first single off of Harry Styles' upcoming album, Harry's House, which is scheduled to be released on May 20th. Joining Harry Styles in the creation of this tune is Kid Harpoon and Tyler Johnson. Thomas Hall, better known as Kid Harpoon, is no stranger to the pop scene, having numerous hits he's worked on, such as
Oh, giving me such sweet nothing.
and
Remember to forget you.
Tyler Johnson, while not nearly as decorated as Kid Harpoon, still has a number of hits to his name as well, such as
In this burning house, I see you at a party and you look
and
Baby, you're listening, so here's one last song for you.
As It Was is released by Erskine and Columbia.
Form.
As It Was is listed as a bedroom pop, new wave, and synth pop song, is under 3 minutes long at 2:47 in F sharp minor, and is 174 beats per minute. The song opens with Harry Styles' goddaughter Ruby Winston before going into an instrumental part before we actually get into the song proper.
Come on, Harry, we want to say goodnight to you.
And we started off proper with the first verse.
Holding me back, gravity's holding me back.
That's then followed by the first chorus,
In this world, it's just us.
which is then immediately preceded by the second verse.
Why are you sitting at home on the floor? What kind of pills are you on?
Accordingly, we then get the second chorus,
You know it's not the same as it was.
a quick bridge, before going into the outro,
You know it's not the same as it was.
which obviously then ends the song.
Synth.
The most dynamic melody we have in the entirety of the song, and the first melody we actually hear, doing these offbeat eighth note figures mostly centered around B.
Chords.
These 4 chords pretty much play throughout the entirety of the song. D major over A, B minor over F sharp, E major over B, and A major over E, and they pretty much just go for 2 bars at a time, minus that E major over a B, which comes over an eighth note later than the rest of them.
Guitar.
Later on in the song, the synth drops out and is replaced by a softly plucking electric guitar. It is pretty much doing exactly what the synth was doing, just an octave lower.
Bass.
A pretty simple bass figure that really only plays in the texturally thicker parts of the song, starting off on that low F sharp, jumping up to that B, dropping down to that E, and then working its back way up to that A, and each one is held for 2 bars at a time.
Piano.
One of the final prominent instruments we actually get in the song, as it only comes in during the outro, doing this constantly descended repeated figure going A, G sharp, F sharp, E, doing that 3 times before finally ending on that F sharp at the end.
Holding up the answer, bring it in.
Verse.
Melodically speaking, it's pretty simple, mostly hanging around B before dropping to E and finally ending on A. The important thing to note here, though, is the rhythms. Harry Styles constantly goes back and forth between that 8th note, quarter 8th note rhythm and just triplet quarter note figures. It's actually hard to tell which one he's doing because of the tempo of the song.
Holding me back, gravity's holding me back. I want you to hold out the palm of your hand. Why don't we leave it at that?
The following phrase doesn't change too much. There are some alterations due to changed words, and sometimes he does focus on the quarter note, 8th note figure, as opposed to the triplet quarters, which he does later in this phrase. But notice there's not that many E's this time around, and of course we have that O melisma at the end.
Nothing to say when everything gets in the way. Seems you cannot be replaced, and I'm the one who'll stay.
The second verse starts out almost identical to the first, still going back and forth between those 8th note, quarter note, 8th note, and then those triplet quarter note figures, and again, mostly just focusing around B, dropping to E, and then finally ending on A.
Answer the phone, Harry, you're no good alone. Why are you sitting at home on the floor? What kind of pills are you on?
The only change we actually ever get comes in the 3rd bar of this phrase, on the phrase nobody's coming to help. On the back half of the word coming, he actually gets up to that higher E.
Ringing the bell, and nobody's coming to help. Your daddy lives by himself. He just wants to know that you're well.
Chorus.
The chorus starts off with these syncopated descending figures going D, C sharp, B. He does that twice before going even higher in his range, getting as high as that high A, but still descending all the way down back to that B.
In this world, it's just us. You know, it's not the same as it was.
He basically then repeats that minus a couple of changes. On the phrase it's just us now ends on G sharp. And at the very end on the phrase as it was, as is now E instead of C sharp. Also, you can hear some of the effects stripped back as Harry now gets more energetic in his vocals.
In this world, it's just us. You know, it's not the same as it was.
Harry Styles then wraps up the chorus, repeating that as it was figure, and even throwing a nice melisma the second time on that B down to an A, before repeating the you know it's not the same, which actually wraps up the chorus.
As it was, as it was. You know, it's not the same.
Bridge.
We get a quick bridge right before we get into the outro of the song, which is Harry Styles really just doing a bunch of B's repeated on quarter notes and 8th notes. The occasional A is thrown in there, and there's even a couple of syncopated rhythms, but for the most part, B's on quarter notes and 8th notes.
Outro.
The outro starts off pretty instrumental in nature. We get that hey at the beginning, and we do get one as it was, but this was the one with the melisma from B to A, as opposed to just holding a B. But for the most part, the outro is just repeated elements from the chorus.
You know, it's not the same as it was. As it was. As it was.
Fairly simplistic song, all things considered. Nothing too complex melodically, harmonically, or rhythmically. That being said, that doesn't make this a bad song. In fact, because of its simplicity, it's extremely catchy and has been stuck in my head for quite some time. Does that mean that every simple song is going to be an earworm? No. Every song is different. Even if they're both simple, no two songs are
The same as it was in this world. It's just us. You know, it's not the same.
I know I said this song was simple, but in terms of the transcription, this was probably the quickest one I did. From start to finish, it took me like an hour.
As it was. As it was.